They begged the herbalist to help their dying father. But when he told them what was needed, the mother ran away. And before dawn, Ada was with her uncle, doing the unthinkable. What she didn't know was that he was more than an uncle, and everyone around her had a secret that will shatter her world when it all came to the open. This is how it all started. The knock came around 3 a.m. It wasn't loud. Just soft, steady taps on the door of their cement house. Ada was already awake, sitting beside her father's hospital bed in their living room. A drip hung from a nail on the wall. The air smelled like Dettol and sorrow. Her father was pale. His lips had turned dark, like burnt wood. Every few minutes, he shook like someone cold, even though they had 3 blankets on him. "Mama!" Ada called out. Her mother rushed in from the kitchen, tying a scarf over her nightgown. "What is it again?" "The knock." They turned to the door. The knock came again 3 times, then silence. When they opened the door, the village nurse stood there, eyes wide, face pale. "It's not an ordinary sickness," she whispered. "Call Dibia Aiknor." Ada's mother stepped back like someone had slapped her. "We don't do that in this house." The nurse looked at her, then at Ada. "Then get ready to bury your husband." The next afternoon, they took Papa Ezekiel to the herbalist's place far from the main road, behind old government quarters. The place didn't look scary: white walls, a tiled corridor, a generator humming at the back. Dibia Aiknor wore black jeans, a red t-shirt, and native beads on his wrist. His dreadlocks were tied into a bun. He didn't ask many questions. Just stared at Papa Ezekiel for a while, then lit a bundle of dry leaves and let the smoke swirl around the sick man's body. "He's under a generational curse," Aiknor finally said. Ada and her mother exchanged glances. "What does that mean?" Ada asked. "It means someone in this family opened a spiritual door, years ago. And now, your father is paying the price." "What can we do to save him?" her mother asked, voice cracking. Aiknor stood, voice low. "There is only one path, a blood exchange." "What kind of exchange?" Ada asked, heart racing. "It must be between family. A woman must cleanse the bloodline by lying with a direct male relative, one who still carries the seed." Silence. Ada's mother clutched her chest. "This is madness." "Then prepare for his burial." Back home, Ada's mother paced the hallway. "No daughter of mine will do that rubbish," she said, shaking. "That herbalist wants to disgrace us." "Mama, he said Papa will die." "Let him die. Is that not better than shame?" Ada wiped her face. "Mama, I can't just fold my hands and do nothing. I am the only available direct blood to do this, and it must be done. I can't watch Papa die. Then, I'm leaving tomorrow. I am done with this madness. I am a firm believer of the Almighty God, and I believe He gives and takes lives. I can't stay and watch my daughter walk into madness." The next morning, her mother was gone. No note. No goodbye. Just silence. That night, the house was quiet. Papa Ezekiel was breathing softer, but it wasn't an improvement, it was like his body was giving up. Uncle Namdi came. He stayed back. Ada brought him water. They sat in the small room she used to share with her younger brother before he moved to town. He stood at the doorway. "You're sure about this?" Ada nodded. "I don't feel good about it," he said. "But if this saves him." There was no passion. No love. Just a transaction sealed in silence and shame. And when it was over, Ada covered her face and cried. Ada didn't sleep. She sat by the front door of the house, her eyes dry but heavy. Every sound in the compound startled her: barking dogs, passing bikes, the whistling of the wind. By 6 a.m., she stood up and went inside. Uncle Namdi was gone. The only proof of the night was her twisted bedsheet and the ache in her chest. She turned to check on her father. For the first time in weeks, he was sitting up. Not strong, but breathing normal. Color had returned to his lips. He looked at her and said, "Did something happen last night?" Ada froze. "I had a strange dream," he said. "I was drowning. Then I felt a hand pull me out." Ada turned away, her lips trembling. "Nothing happened, Papa." By the weekend, word had started spreading. "Have you heard? Papa Ezekiel's daughter went to see Dibia Aiknar. They say she did what no girl should do. With her own blood. No wonder the man stood up like Lazarus. Ada first heard the whispers at the borehole while fetching water. 3 women behind her pretended they weren't talking about her, but their eyes said it all. Even her childhood friend, Uju, stopped visiting. Ada walked home that day with her head down, but her back straight. If her father was alive, she could bear it. But the worst wasn't the gossip. It was the fear. Because every night since the sacrifice, she had the same nightmare, a crying baby standing in the hallway, covered in smoke. 2 weeks later, Mama returned unannounced. She came back from her sister's house in Enugu, dragging a small travel box and carrying shame on her face like a second skin. "I came to see if your father is dead," she said, standing at the door. Ada stared at her. "He's inside. Eating." Mama stepped in slowly. She dropped her bag on the floor and went to the kitchen like nothing had happened. At night, she called Ada into the bedroom. "I know what you did," she said. Ada didn't speak. Mama looked at her daughter long and hard. "You have done something abominable, Ada. Why him? Why not with another relative if you must do this abominable act to save your father? I don't think you know the gravity of what you have done, but we must never speak of it again. Not to anyone." Ada nodded once. Confused and ashamed. She left the room and vomited everything she had eaten that day. 1 month later, Ada missed her period. At first, she thought it was stress. But by the 3rd week, the nausea came. Then the sharp cravings. Then her breasts felt tight and sore. She bought a test kit in town. Locked herself in the bathroom. When the 2 lines appeared, she sat on the toilet seat and stared at the wall. Her hands were shaking, but not from fear, from the weight of the decision she knew she had to make. "Uncle Namdi must never know," she whispered. Then she flushed the test strip down the toilet and cleaned her tears. Ada didn't tell anyone. Not Mama. Not even her cousin Amaka, who visited from Onitsha that weekend. She began wearing bigger clothes. Avoiding eye contact. Skipping church. By the 2nd month, her stomach began to push slightly forward, soft but visible under tighter clothes. But it was Papa who noticed. He called her into the living room one night, after dinner. "Are you sick?" he asked. Ada shook her head. He stared at her. "Then why are you wearing sweaters in this heat?" She stayed silent. He sighed. "Ever since I got well, you've been different. Distant. What are you hiding from me?" Ada looked at him. The man she had broken herself to save. The man who gave her everything. Her protector. She opened her mouth. But she couldn't speak. It was market day in Eziama. Ada had gone to help her mother sell okra and dried fish at their corner stall. Just as she was stacking goods into nylon bags for a customer, a black Toyota Corolla pulled up by the side of the road. She recognized the car instantly. Her hands froze mid-air. The door opened, and out stepped Namdi. He had a fresh haircut, wore designer shades, and held a bottle of Lucozade like he owned the world. Ada's heart skipped a beat. He walked toward their stall, nodding politely at people he passed. "Good afternoon, Auntie," he said to Mama. Mama barely nodded. Then his eyes found Ada's belly, now visibly rounded beneath her loose blouse. Ada turned her face. "Can we talk?" he asked quietly. "No," she replied without looking at him. He stayed silent for a moment. "Is it mine?" That question rang like a bell through the market. That night, Namdi came to the house. He didn't knock. He just waited outside until Papa saw him through the window. "Who is that?" Papa asked. Mama and Ada came outside at the same time. "Good evening, sir," Namdi said calmly. "You again?" Papa's voice was cold. "I came to talk. With Ada. She has nothing to say to you," Mama snapped. "I didn't force her," Namdi said, facing Papa. "You didn't force her? Are you mad?" Mama shouted. "Let him talk," Ada said suddenly. They all turned to her. She looked at Namdi with fire in her eyes. "Speak and go. What do you want?" He sighed. "I want to take responsibility. For the baby. For you. I know we didn't plan this, but I must do what needs to be done. You're not the father. Namdi froze. What? I said you're not the father. Go and never come back. He looked at her, confused, broken, angry. Then he left. Nobody said a word as the gate closed behind him. Later that night, Mama came to Ada's room. Why did you say that? She asked. Ada sat on the bed, folding baby clothes she had started hiding under the bed. Because, what we did is already enough shame. I can't bear the shame of everyone knowing my cousins fathered my child. I don't want him in my life, she answered. But the baby is his right. Mama whispered. Ada looked up. I don't know. Mama sat beside her. She placed a hand on her daughter's shoulder. I have to tell you something. I wasn't always like this, she said quietly. You know your Uncle Namdi isn't your uncle. Ada's hand paused mid-fold. What do you mean? Mama stared into space. When I was your age, I got pregnant. My mother forced me to give the baby to someone else. That child was Namdi. Ada's jaw dropped. So he's not Papa's brother? No. He's your brother. Ada stood up. But does that mean he isn't related to Papa by blood? Exactly, her mother replied. Then how come Papa got better immediately after I laid with him as instructed by the dibia? I don't know, but I don't think your father getting better has anything to do with what you did with Namdi. Her knees nearly gave way. 3 days later, a woman arrived at their gate. She was tall, rich-looking, and carried a leather bag. She wore perfume that filled the entire room when she entered. I'm Barrister Gloria, she said. I represent Mr. Namdi Obiora. Mama's hands shook as she served her water. He wants joint custody of the unborn child, the woman said calmly. And he's ready to file a suit. Ada stood up. Tell him to come and carry the baby from my womb if he wants it so bad. The lawyer stood too. Miss Ada, I advise you to handle this peacefully. My client has proof. He recorded your last conversation on the phone. Mama gasped. Gloria smiled coldly. He also has screenshots of your chats. Ada's knees felt weak. But he also wants to make peace, Gloria added. Under one condition, marry him. I cannot marry Namdi, this is ridiculous. That night, Ada stood in front of her father, holding the lawyer's letter. Papa read it in silence. Then he folded it carefully and looked up. Do you want to marry him? No. How can I marry my cousin? But you might lose the baby if you don't. Ada nodded slowly. Then I'll fight. Papa reached out and held her hand. You saved me, Ada. Now I'll fight for you too. Mama walked in slowly. You won't be alone. We will both stand by you. For the first time in weeks, the three of them sat at the same table. Together. No secrets. No shame. Just one family, preparing for battle. Ada was in the backyard, washing baby clothes in a basin when she overheard her parents arguing again. But what if we lose the case? Mama's voice cracked. We won't, Papa replied. She could hear the fear in her mother's voice, not anger this time, fear. The court hearing was scheduled in Abuja, a full-day trip. Namdi had lawyers, money, and connections. All Ada had was her family and the truth. That night, Papa sat her down and gave her an envelope. What's this? She asked. Your biological records. From the clinic. It proves he's not your cousin nor your brother. I did my own digging. Ada opened it with shaking hands. Her eyes widened. It was true, Namdi wasn't related to her at all. But Mama said. Papa sighed. Your mother was afraid. She told you a lie so you'd stay away from him. Ada blinked in disbelief. So who was lying? The family boarded a bus at 5 a.m. for Abuja. The courthouse loomed large like a monster when they arrived. Inside, Ada sat nervously, surrounded by suited men with briefcases. Namdi entered looking confident. Behind him, the same barrister, Gloria. He smirked when he saw Ada. The judge entered. A tall, stern woman. Case of Namdi Obiora versus Ada Ease for paternity rights and custody hearing, she announced. Everything moved fast after that. Papers passed around. Exhibits shown. Ada's stomach tightened every second. Then Namdi spoke. She slept with me willingly. I never forced her. She told me she wanted it for reasons best known to her. Now she's trying to shut me out of the child that came from the affair." The judge turned to Ada. "What's your response?" "I was desperate. I was brainwashed into thinking if I did it then the act would save my father. He could have convinced me otherwise, or even told me he wasn't in fact my cousin as I had grown up believing. Instead he preyed on my ignorance and vulnerability. I know better now. He used me." The courtroom went silent as the test result was handed to the judge. She opened it slowly. Her eyes scanned the page. Then she looked up. "According to this document, Mr. Obiora is not the biological father of the child." Gasps echoed. Namdi shot up. "That's a lie." His lawyer looked just as stunned. "Sit down, Mr. Obiora," the judge ordered. Ada stared at the ground. She hadn't even known. Her mother sat frozen. "Do you wish to explain?" the judge asked Ada. I don't know," she whispered. "It didn't make sense. I had no one else." The judge tapped the file. "Then this might require further medical review. But for now, case dismissed." Namdi stood, red with rage. "You set me up." He stormed out. Barrister Gloria followed quietly. Mama sat beside Ada and held her trembling hand. Papa just whispered, "It's over." Was it truly over? Would Namdi accept defeat so easily? Who was truly responsible for Ada's pregnancy? Did Ada's mother truly lie about being the biological mother of Namdi? Who was telling the truth? Subscribe to Tales by Amah to find out. Bye for now.